Hi guys, it's G. Welcome back to my channel. So just a quick disclaimer. I have had my eyebrows microbladed. That video is going up on Wednesday. I've had like my 6-month top up. So if you think, whoa, she has eyebrows all of a sudden, that's why. But I'm obsessed with them, and a full video will be coming on Wednesday on these bad boys. But today's video is going to be a bit of a different video. I have been getting this question popping up so much, you don't even understand. I get it all the time, but more recently I've been getting it, and I just thought, why not do a video all about this particular question. My dog is already huffing and puffing, and I've not even started, so love that for me. Before we get on to the video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It'd be so fab if you could join the fam. I love you all so much. Also, for behind the scenes and other ways to get involved in my videos and stuff like that, don't forget to head over to my Instagram to check out. Don't forget to head over to my Instagram to find more of me, like behind the scenes, how to get involved in more videos, other bits and bobs. So head to my Instagram for more of me. So many people have been asking me the same question over and over again, and it's basically, why can't you walk? Can you walk? Can you stand? Why are you in a wheelchair? Can you walk? Why can't you walk? Can you walk? And the answer to that will be no. So I cannot walk and I can't stand. However, I'm going to be basically explaining the reason, also my past, which is very different to what I am now, obviously, but I mean, physically, I was very different back then to how I am now. So I'm actually going to be answering like the most asked question ever on my channel. So let's go straight into it and let's get deep. Okay, so the story starts when it was around November time. I was in high school, and literally before I become this bad, like around this time, I actually could walk. Like, I could walk everywhere. I could literally run and jump onto couches. I was like a little flying squirrel. I probably have video, no I do, I have quite a few videos of me walking around. I used to walk around high school when in between lessons. I literally could walk up until, so I ended up being off school because I was quite ill. Nothing wrong with me, I was just ill. I had the flu or a virus, something like that. So this was when my pain started like to develop into quite bad pain, and we didn't know why. We instantly thought, oh, it's the flu because you've just been ill, now your bones are aching. I used to say they're aching so much I couldn't sit on the toilet, so it all made sense. It probably looked like it was a flu. And then once my symptoms had gone of the flu, I ended up being absolutely fine, but I had this pain. I have a really funny story where I was physically sick, and as I ran to the toilet, I was sick and then slipped in it and literally banged my head, and that was the time I was really ill. So that was definitely a bug. So I had a bug, then I had pain. You instantly think we've got the virus. Then obviously once my symptoms went, the pain was still there, it was still really bad. And then we left it I think we left it for about a week, I'm not sure. And because my pain hadn't gone better or anything, I think we did go to the GP first. They prescribed me cocodamol. I don't like that stuff. That stuff is not good. So I did have that, it made no difference. And it just got worse and worse. So eventually my dad actually took me to A&E, and I never go A&E, so for me to go there, it was like a big deal. So I was in A&E, and then one of the guys ended up x-raying me, and they x-rayed my hips more than they did like with my legs. And I will never forget, just checking I was recording, I will never forget sitting in the room when he had the x-ray up, and he literally turned around to me and said, "How are you still smiling?" And that must have been the point where I was like, oh, this must be bad, this must be bad. And like, I'm quite good at coping with pain, like I'm still am now. I'm very like mentally like strong in pain sometimes. So I had no idea how bad my situation was, and the doctor obviously looked at this and was like, "You are in a lot of pain, this is ridiculous." Basically what was happening was my hip joints were just wearing down, and I'll explain a little bit more when I get on through to the story. But from then I was referred straight to my surgeon. So my surgeon is called Mr. Bruce, and I'm going to say his name because he's so lovely. He's not bothered about camera, and I have nothing but amazing things to say about him. So I ended up getting transferred to Alder Hey, and I went to the orthopedic department. So I was never under orthopedic up until now, and at this point I was showing him how I could walk. So I could still walk at this point. So I remember walking, and I used to waddle like a little penguin, and that was because my joints were very uneven. And at the time as well, I had really bad knee pain. My knees are still bad. I think they probably got worse, but because my hips were so bad, that was their priority. So my surgeon seen my x-ray, and he was like, "Wow, your hip joints are a mess." Like, they were a mess. So my hip joints were basically wearing away, so every time I moved or walked, they were grinding in the socket of my joints, and that's not good. That is pure pain and just not good for your mobility. And literally my pain threshold, I don't know how it was stable back then, but I think the first procedure I had was an arthrogram. So before we went straight into like surgery, he wanted to kind of see what was really going on, so I went in to have an arthrogram. So basically, an arthrogram is where they inject dye into your hip joint, and it basically shows up all of the areas. It helps them see what the problem is and stuff like that. So I had that done, and from the outcome of that, my surgeon basically said that my femoral heads, which are your hip joints, looked like a jelly bean chewed by a rat. So they were horrendous. They were just all misshapen, and it's probably just kept chipping away. So Mr. Bruce basically came up with a plan and said, "Right, we're going to sort your joints out." So the plan was to go in and shave my femoral head, which is your ball and socket. Your socket and your ball of your hip. I'm not very good, I'm not a doctor, but basically your hip joint, and this is your socket. He was basically going to go in, shave all of this down, and also shave the inside of my hip socket. So basically he would have to dislocate my hip to shave the inside to put it back in. So that was the plan. So obviously I was on the waiting list. I also got a referral to a pain team. Now this was quite hard because I am not the one to open up, and I would go to each of my doctor's appointments and I wouldn't show them I'm in pain. You probably wouldn't even tell, and that's the thing with me, you won't even know if I'm in pain or not because I hide it really, really well. So I went into my first pain team appointment, and they didn't believe me. They didn't believe I was in pain, and they didn't give me anything strong enough. So it got to like a breaking point where I think I just like broke down and cried and said, "I am in so much pain, I feel like you don't want to help me." It was literally really hard because it was so frustrating that no one could see that I was in pain, and no one was believing me because I didn't show it, which is silly because just because you don't show you're suffering, it doesn't mean you are. Only until I had this massive breakdown in the middle of a meeting that they realised that I was really in pain. So they started giving me like gabapentin. Now gabapentin is a drug that stops you remembering pain. Now I'm going to come back to this during later on in this story because this was also another issue about pain. I was on tramadol. That was such a weird drug. It made me literally do lolly. It made me feel like I'm having an out-of-body experience. It was very, very strange. I don't really remember what happened when I was on it, but I know that I was very out of it. I was constantly sleeping. I felt dizzy. I was hallucinating. So that was I was on that, but it wasn't great. And then I was on amitriptyline. So amitriptyline is an antidepressant, but you can also use it as a painkiller of some sort. So I was on that. You guessed it, it didn't work. So them 2 drugs straight away were wiped out. I was on quite a few drugs. I don't even remember all of them, but I was on so many, and it was literally trial and error, and none of them worked. By the time I tried all of these different drugs, it was time for my operation. So I went in, had my operation, and my surgeon was like, yeah, it's a success, we did it. And that was the start of, you know, a long journey, honestly. So my pain had gone away on this side, I think it was, so which is this, my right side. So my right side ended up being okay, it wasn't hurting me, but my left side was so painful still. It made no difference. I was still in agony. So we went back to my surgeon and he said, right, what we'll do is we'll go straight into your left side of your hip and I'll try and do whatever I can. So we went in again. I was back into surgery and I had my femoral head shaved again, even more work done to my bone. I woke up and the operations aren't nice. When I had my hip operation, it wasn't great because I was on, so basically I was on an epidural. I also was on ketamine, morphine. Obviously I was on quite a lot when I had my operations. So I was on an epidural for literally, I think, a week or something. So if you don't know what an epidural is, my pregnant ladies will know that it's basically a needle in your back that's a drip, and it basically numbs from the waist below. So I was completely numb and I had no idea, so it was good because I couldn't feel it. Once they took out my epidural, that was when my pain just got really bad again. The one thing that I would say really helped was ketamine. Now you can't actually go home on ketamine, it's too strong of a drug, but that did help. And we had no plan, I could not go home on this amount of pain without any medications to help me. So I had to stay in hospital and basically go on a little bit of a drug trial because, you know, it was a lot. We didn't know what to do. So this is when I tried a medication called fentanyl. So my pain nurse basically said, right, okay, we're going to try you on something that's pretty strong and should help you. So I was basically on fentanyl patches, which is like little sticky things on your back and it gets absorbed into your bloodstream. And I was also on fentanyl lollipops. I was on these for so long. I remember having them at college, school. Fentanyl is actually used for cancer patients, so just that in itself proves how much pain I was in. And honestly, these did help, but the reactions and obviously the side effects are not good from it. So at the time I was still in hospital, I was trying fentanyl lollipops and patches, and they were okay, they did help. But also I was referred to a psychologist. Now this is the side of the story that is a bit different because a lot of the anaesthetists actually believed that it was a mental thing with me. So they thought I was just remembering pain because I was living with it for so long. So they honestly thought it was almost like stuck in my head and I was just remembering pain, even though nothing was there, which in the end was actually proven to be false. So my surgeon believed me. He knew it was straight away my bones that was causing me my pain. So while I was on fentanyl, I was referred to a psychologist, and this was to kind of understand if this was actually pain that I was having or if it was me just remembering it. So I had quite a few sessions with a psychologist. I had one every week. I did a lot of how to cope with pain, how to take it out of my head and picture it as an actual item. And this was really what I believe in, so they could see if it was in my head or not. In the end, my pain obviously did not decrease or anything. My pain would become that bad that my body would almost just shut off and I would fall asleep, but I wouldn't remember. I couldn't get through college. It was one of the hardest things I have ever experienced, and it's just not a nice thing. So it was really tough. I know I don't explain that side of it, but I didn't cope with it well. I was always upset. I was just very, very down. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to cope with the pain. I had these lollipops, but they would knock me out. It was honestly, my body just couldn't cope with it. So it was obviously a lot, and there was no way of getting out of it. So after a few months went down, my pain did not decrease. It was still as bad, and I was still relying on such strong medication to keep me kind of going. I ended up getting referred down to London. So I ended up seeing a hip president. I know, how mad. And he is basically a hip replacement specialist. He was almost like the head of them all. He was really good, and my surgeon said, listen, go down there, see what he says, and we'll go from there. So we ended up staying a night in the hotel. We ended up going down to London, my favourite place, and we saw this hip president. And he basically obviously had my x-rays. He knew everything about me from my surgeon up here, and he said, you are not even able to have a hip replacement, because if I did a hip replacement on you, I would shatter your whole of the femur. So your femur is your leg bone. He's saying that my bones were that weak through everything that I've been through. There was just no way. So with a hip replacement, they have to put a pole into your thigh bone, and then they have a joint, like a fake metal joint. So they'd have to like put that into your actual leg, and then you have a fake cap for your hip joint. So as you can imagine, a lot of work. He was saying that as soon as he would do that, my whole femur would just shatter. It would also give me a lot more risk, such as like losing a lot of blood, also with my nerves, and it was just too risky. Even though he did admit it would have been the best pain outcome for me, there was too many risks for the pain. So he said, listen, go back up to your surgeon, and that was when we ended up going for this other operation. Now, this operation that he come up with was literally the last resort. We have been through so much just to go through all of this. So I think actually in between this, I did have another arthrogram just to check where, you know, what he really could do. So he ended up going in again just before I had this operation, because what happened was he didn't want to do this other plan because it was almost like the last straw. He didn't want to do it, if I'm honest. He was trying his best just to save what I had, but he said, like, you know what, if worst comes to worst, we'll do it. So before this procedure, which I'm going to talk a bit more about in a minute, he actually did another arthrogram. So we did another injection in the hip, which was the dye. But while I had that done, he also gave me a steroid injection that went straight into my hip to see if that did anything. Literally did nothing at all. It was just kind of like, you know what, we've got this last option. What my surgeon said was he wanted to do a gurgle stone procedure. Now, if you watch any vet programs, I absolutely love watching Super Vet because I love Noel Fitzpatrick. He's so amazing. I am like a huge fan of that program. So I've been watching this program for years, and he ended up saying they do this operation on dogs. I don't even think they do it on humans, so I'm pretty sure I am one of many few like this operation has happened on. So basically what a gurgle stone is, where they remove your whole hip. It's like your femoral head. So they actually go in and just slice off your femoral head. Basically, he's just cutting all of that off. So he cuts the top of my thigh off almost. Inside my socket will be nothing. He'll build it up with scar tissue and try and create a padded cushion for me. So he didn't want to do this because obviously it's not good to remove your hips, that's how you walk and everything. During this time I did not walk, I needed a wheelchair, I was in so much pain. Actually, this is a really good thing to say. It's quite hard because there's so much information and it's me putting it all into a timeline, but just quickly want to like slot in. When I had my second operation, which was when he shaved my femoral head, I actually learned how to walk again. So they were trying to see if it was okay to walk on, and because again, it's still quite nice to be able to walk and stand. And I actually had to learn how to walk all over again. It was either to walk again or to have, you know, less pain. So I chose to go straight in and have less pain. So my surgeon ended up doing this gurgle stone, and is mad because the fact that this is done in dogs is a little bit crazy, but I think it's also known as a pseudo-arthrosis, I think. I'm not really sure, but that's what he did. So instead of doing both, he did the left one first because that was the most pain. We did that, and obviously that was like a really, really painful operation. I remember that was really, really bad, but we had it, and I woke up, obviously, in my little ward. I had a cubicle, and I woke up with my mum and dad literally like pure panicking. And at this moment, you know, like, I am on drugs, like I am doolally, I am on anesthetic, I have no clue what I'm doing, I'm in and out of sleep, and this, you know, this operation didn't hit me quite well because I was like waking up and I was literally bleeding everywhere, all over the bed. I don't remember much of it because, again, it was a lot and I was in and out of like consciousness, and yeah, so I was bleeding quite a lot, and that was quite scary for me. And that night I ended up bleeding through like 6 bed sheets and gowns. I bled so much, it was quite worrying. I don't think it's normal to do that, and obviously I was quite ill. I think because of that I was really, really ill, so that was quite serious. They were quite worried about that. They didn't know if something had happened. Luckily I didn't have anything else done, but that was quite a scary part of my operation. I was still obviously on my epidural, so yeah, I had it removed, and it was obviously, it went fine. It was a lot harder than I expected. It's hard because I couldn't move my leg for ages. I was scared because I didn't think I could move my leg. I had intense sessions at hydrotherapy, sorry. I did a lot of sessions at hydrotherapy to build up my scar tissue, to really build up my joint muscles, and obviously my socket had nothing in it. So building up your scar tissue almost creates a little fake bit of your bone. So I think I was in hospital for about 2 weeks maybe, so it is like quite a long time to be on a ward. I did stay there due to my pain. It was a bit of a bigger operation. I was really badly bruised, and with these operations they actually cut you right in your bikini line, nipple line. So I have got 2 major big scars right literally on my nipple line, and one of my scars actually goes up onto my stomach. They are pretty big scars. Luckily you can't see them, but again, so what if you can see them? I'm not even bothered. And yeah, that was like a bit like, wow, okay G, okay. Then I actually came home with morphine. So morphine is a controlled drug, but you can take it home. It is a strong drug, but they are allowed to let patients go home with it, and that was what I was having. So I was on morphine patches and morphine medication liquid as well, and that was kind of like what I was settled on. Kind of happy, not really bothered. It didn't give me too many side effects. All is good. And obviously it healed over time, and I ended up realising that I could move my leg. It was getting better. Yes, I wasn't able to stand because there was nothing to stand on, just pure scar tissue, so unfortunately I couldn't stand, and I wasn't too bothered about that. And then a few months went by again, and the exact same happened for my right hip, and literally the circle happened again. So I was in agony with my right one, and then we went back in, and my surgeon was like, look, we'll just do the same again. We'll take off your femoral head, and that's just like the best we can do. So I went back in, had my right femoral head removed. This was possibly over a year after I had this one done. I fully recovered from my left operation, and now I was onto my right. Back in again, I had my right one. This is like my most recent one, I guess. I think I was like was I 18 at this point, I think? I'm not too sure. But I had my operation, they removed it, and again I had another little funny story. So I woke up in the recovery room, which isn't your ward, it's like just after you've had your operation, they check you all right and stuff. And I woke up, and I've never been in such horrific pain in my life. And I don't know what I did, but I must have like screamed or like cried or something. I don't even know. I full on sobbed, I think, and they realised that I was in too much pain. They ended up taking me back through to the operation theatre, putting me back to sleep, and they realised that they actually put my epidural in the wrong part of my spine, so it wasn't even numbing anything, so that was fun. Luckily, thank God, they put it back in the right place. I woke up again, and I wasn't very well from the epidural. The last time I had one, I was really, really ill. My blood pressure was really low. I didn't eat for literally weeks. I just couldn't eat properly. I wasn't hungry. I wasn't great. So that was quite a hard time in hospital. I just wasn't well. And then I ended up going home on morphine again, and literally I recovered from that. Obviously, it does take a full year to recover. So after the full year, I realised I could actually move my legs a lot more. I'm so much more flexible. You guys don't even understand. I'm like a mini gymnast. I am so flexible, it's unreal. And this is almost where we come to like the present day. Now, honestly, the amazing parts of having this operation was I can actually move my legs quite far apart, and that's like quite a lot for me because I never could do that. So the fact that I can now get my legs around a huge horse, like that's massive. So I can move, but I just can't physically stand or walk. But I'm not like paralysed or anything like that, because I feel like most people probably think that just because I'm in a wheelchair I'm paralysed, but I'm not. I can move every part of me apart from the fact that I can't physically stand, or obviously I can't walk. I do like struggle with certain things, but the fact that I can't walk or stand doesn't bother me anymore. I do have an amazing wheelchair. I just want to quickly mention that my surgeon did say to me that I will be in pain for the rest of my life. There's no stopping that. You've got to almost accept that. We will never be able to take your pain away, but we can do what we can and try and keep you comfortable. So obviously I will always be living with pain. The reason I have chronic pain is because it's for life. My pain is for life, love that. No, but it's just the way you cope with it, and I am still in bad pain, but because I have my painkillers, it does help me. Obviously now I do have good days and I do have bad days, especially in the afternoons. I can be in more pain for some reason, I don't know why. My pain sometimes can get bad and knock me out, so things like that I obviously still have to deal with, but it's nothing like major. And the fact that I know that I've had this operation, it was done for the right reasons. Yes, I will never walk again, but so what? It doesn't make me any less of a person. I'm not that bothered. Like, I had to access the world in a wheelchair anyway, whether I could walk or not. Even though a wheelchair can put people off, it can make people see you in a different light, which I know it wish it didn't, but it does, unfortunately. It's life. I couldn't care less. Like, I did this operation and it took a lot of guts to do. Honestly, probably like the hardest parts of it was the fact that for a lot of like the time, some people didn't believe I was in pain, and still to this day I'm the exact same. You won't ever know if I'm in pain because I'm very good at faking it. I'm very good at masking like pain on my face. If I'm around people I'm comfortable, like maybe I'll show it, but if I'm not comfortable around you, I will not show you I'm in pain, just because I don't like that. I am not that kind of person. I don't like moaning about it, showing it. I just kind of deal with it in my own way, and I've been used to it for so many years now that it's just normal to be in pain, which isn't great. I guess it's not life, but for me it's fine. I'm just me, but with pain, and I deal with it. Obviously some days can be so much harder being in this much pain and being on morphine, so I'm actually still on morphine to this day, but it's the only thing that really helps. I have tried CBD oil, like I think it's the MediPen, but it did nothing for me. It was never strong enough, and I think it made me a little bit low. Like, I went through quite a bad mental time with that, which I don't get why. So I think that was a bit weird, the fact that the MediPen, the one that you kind of, I don't want to say smokes, you're not smoking it, but it is a vape pen. So the vape pen with CBD oil did nothing for me, didn't help me. It only made me actually very down. So it was it's a little bit of a trial and error with life. still is. I'm still trying to figure out things. I'm trying different medications still, because at the minute I'm in pain. Right now I am in pain. And the thing is, what I really wanted to say was, I actually had a really funny experiment in hospital, and one of the psychologist guys came to me and said, we'd love to take a picture of you and use you in our little experiment. And it was a psychology experiment, and it's put a picture of me in my hospital bed hooked up to literally all of these drips in pain. And he took a picture of me and he put it in front of a huge panel, and he said, rate her pain, and in hospital you have a pain score. So everyone said like 1, 2, and my pain score was a 9 to 10. That's what I feel like made everyone's mind blown, and it's really good because I'm proud of that. I think that's a really strong point. Like, if I didn't have pain, I don't think I would be the same person. Obviously, I'm in agony right now. Like, if I'm honest here, I am in so much pain right now. I want my painkillers so bad, but you wouldn't even know because this girl is not showing you. But anyway, that is the end of why I will never walk again. I do hope you enjoyed. It's a little bit different, and I do really like chatting about more personal stuff so people can get to know me a bit better. If you want me to do other ones, maybe a bit more about me and things like that, maybe a story time of my hell of a time at school and college, I would be more than happy to open up about that. I would love to do a story about that. Oh, that would be spilling some tea. But yeah, I'm gonna love you and leave you, and thank you so much for sticking around to the end of this video. You all mean so much to me, and not gonna lie, you guys are a huge part of my life, and you are the reasons that make me this happy and get through my pain. Like, if it wasn't for YouTube, I would have been in a totally different mindset and place back then, and still now. Like, when I'm in pain, I use YouTube as my therapy. It probably could sound stupid to some people, but to me, it is my way of focusing on something instead of my pain. It obviously doesn't help all the time, but it does help me get a bit more comfortable. So without YouTube, without this, honestly, I don't know what I would do. So thank you guys. I love you all from the bottom of my heart. I will see you in my next video. Mwah.